The alarms on the Celestial Harmony had never sounded quite so panicked before. Lieutenant Cara jerked awake from her bunk, heart hammering against her ribs as red emergency lights flooded her quarters. The station's intercom crackled to life, and Captain Velix's usually composed voice carried an edge of barely controlled hysteria. All personnel, code yellow. Multiple juveniles missing from the nursery wing. Repeat, all cubs are unaccounted for. Begin immediate search protocols. Cara groaned, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Another drill, probably. The multilateral space station housed 17 different species, and the alien crew members loved running surprise exercises to test human reaction times. They seemed endlessly fascinated by how jumpy humans could be. She swung her legs off the bunk and froze. Something small and furry was pressed against her foot. Cara blinked down at the creature. It was Tyr, a Felsorian cub belonging to Engineer Mextal. The little guy was about the size of a house cat, covered in silvery blue fur that seemed to shimmer even in the dim emergency lighting. His 3 eyes were closed, his tiny chest rising and falling in peaceful rhythm. A soft purring sound emanated from somewhere deep within him. "Tyr?" Cara whispered, reaching down carefully. "What are you doing here, buddy?" The cub didn't stir. He simply nuzzled deeper into the blanket that had apparently fallen to the floor, his small 6-fingered paws twitching as he dreamed. Cara's gaze traveled slowly across her quarters, and her jaw dropped. They were everywhere. Curled up in her desk chair was a Draxian hatchling, its crystalline scales glinting softly. 2 Vorpian cubs, fuzzy creatures with elongated snouts, had somehow wedged themselves into her storage compartment, tangled together like living yarn. On her bookshelf, a tiny Aquelion floated in the moisture sphere it needed to survive, bubbles rising lazily around its sleeping form. Even her pillow had been claimed by a Scalian infant, its chitinous shell barely larger than her fist. Cara counted quickly. 11. 11 alien cubs, all fast asleep in various corners of her modest quarters. "Oh no," she breathed. "Oh no," her door chimed. Then it chimed again, more insistently. Before she could respond, it hissed open, revealing Captain Velix, a towering Mantaran whose 4 arms were gesturing frantically, and what appeared to be every parent on the station crowded behind him in the corridor. "Lieutenant Solon, we have a crisis." The captain's words died as his large compound eyes took in the scene. His mandibles clicked in astonishment. By the 17 moons of Mantara, the parents pushed forward, their varied forms of shock playing out across species. Engineer Mextal's fur stood on end as she spotted Tyr. Dr. Crin's tentacles went completely slack. Specialist Borth actually dropped the scanning device he'd been holding. "They're all here," Mextal whispered, her translator barely capturing the emotion in her voice. "In the humans' quarters." Cara raised her hands defensively, careful not to disturb any of the sleeping cubs. "I swear I have no idea how they got in here. I went to sleep and my room was empty. I woke up to the alarm and they were just here. All of them. Sleeping." Captain Velix moved into the room with surprising delicacy for someone his size. He approached Tyr, extending a scanner toward the cub. "Vital signs are exceptional. Better than they've been in weeks, actually. He's in the deepest, most restful sleep cycle possible for his species." Dr. Crin slithered forward, checking on the Aquelion in the moisture sphere. "Same here. I've never seen Lisha this relaxed. Her stress hormones are at unprecedented lows." One by one, the parents confirmed the same impossible truth. Their cubs were not just sleeping. They were experiencing the best sleep of their short lives. But why? Mixtal asked, her ears flattening in confusion. "Why did they all come here? How did they even get past the security locks?" Cara noticed something then. A small data pad had been knocked to the floor near Tyr. She picked it up carefully and her eyes widened as she read the recent access logs. They overrode the security system. Working together, Tyr accessed the primary controls, and the others handled the secondary locks. They planned this. "Impossible," Specialist Borth rumbled. "They're too young to coordinate something so complex." "Unless they were motivated enough," Cara said softly, her gaze drifting to the peaceful faces surrounding her. She thought back to the past few weeks, the stories she'd told when visiting the nursery, the lullabies she'd hummed while helping with feeding times. the way the cubs would calm when she held them. Mextal's eyes widened with realization. The sleep invasion. It's what we've been calling it among the caregivers. The cubs have been restless at night, refusing to settle. We thought it was a developmental phase. Or maybe, Dr. Kryn suggested quietly, they were looking for something. Someone. The captain's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Humans are persistence hunters. Your species evolved to be untiring, to track prey across impossible distances. But that same biology means you radiate steadiness, reliability. Your heartbeat, your breathing patterns, they're remarkably consistent. A predictable rhythm in the chaos. Cara looked down at Tyr again, understanding dawning. They feel safe here. More than safe, Mixtal corrected, kneeling beside her cub. Tyr's been having nightmares since the solar flare last month. Nothing we tried helped, but now, her voice caught. Look at him. He's finally at peace. The assembled parents exchanged glances. An unspoken conversation seemed to pass between them, translated through gestures and subtle body language that transcended species. Finally, Captain Velix spoke. Lieutenant Solon, this is highly irregular, but would you be willing to accept a new assignment? Cara blinked. Sir? The cubs have made their choice clear. We've tried everything to help them through this difficult period, but apparently what they needed was... He gestured at the room. This. You. Humans have always been our station's wild card, the species that doesn't quite fit any of our preconceptions. Perhaps that's exactly what they need. You want me to be a babysitter? Cara asked incredulously. A guardian, Dr. Kryn corrected. A safe harbor. A few nights a week, perhaps, when the cubs are struggling, just until they grow through this phase. Cara looked around at the sleeping forms, the tiny alien children who had somehow hacked their way into her quarters, who had crossed every boundary just to feel the steady rhythm of a human heartbeat nearby. She thought about her own childhood, the night she'd crept into her parents' room seeking comfort from nameless fears. They can come anytime, she said softly. My door's always open. Mextal reached out, placing a paw on Cara's shoulder. Thank you, Lieutenant. You cannot know what this means. But as Cara watched Tyr's tiny chest rise and fall, a contented purr still rumbling from him, she thought maybe she did. After all, humans had always been good at one thing, protecting those who needed protecting. Even if those beings had 6 fingers, crystalline scales, or compound eyes. Especially then. The parents eventually retreated, leaving their cubs in Cara's care for the remainder of the night. As the emergency lights faded and normal illumination returned, Cara settled back onto what remained of her bunk, careful not to disturb the Skelian infant on her pillow. She smiled in the darkness, listening to the symphony of alien snores around her. Humanity, fuck yeah, indeed.